peace, health, and longevity. If you want to consume more plant-based foods, if you want to abstain from junk foods, if you want to consume fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and herbs, and avoid dead flesh, artificial flavors and colorings, sweeteners, anything that is unreal basically, purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan by Pharaoh Ramesses El Aton, who has been a vegan 40 plus years. He will take you step by step on how to abstain from the junk foods, how to abstain from the dead flesh, the chicken, the turkey, the pork, beef, and all sorts of animal products. Purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan, to eat more natural. Remember that the herbs are for the healing of the nations. Let food be your medicine and let medicine be your food. Consume of every fruit-bearing and herb-bearing tree. Unto you it shall be for meat. Purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan by Pharaoh Ramesses El Aton. Peace, health, and longevity.
All right, positive energy all the time. Good to see you all. Well, here we go again. Remember, health is wealth, so take care of yourself. And you're not going to believe this information that I'm about to give to you. I did a live earlier today talking about how Nico passed away, which is Brian McKnight's son, passed away at 32 years old, which is extremely young to pass away from colorectal cancer. Colorectal cancer used to be something people didn't get until they was in their late 60s, but mostly in their 70s. Mostly in their 70s. And after so many years of eating this processed food and these processed meats, I assume that's why it started going down. The next thing we know, it was in the 60s, 60-year-olds. But we really didn't have social media, so we couldn't keep up with it. The news really didn't talk about those type of issues. The news on TV only had, a half an hour, and they just covered the main stories. They didn't really talk about health on the news, unless it was some type of recall or pandemic or something. Then the next thing we know was 50 years old. This is during the internet era. 50 years old, MySpace, Twitter, Facebook. Early Instagram. And that was able to happen without ringing no alarms because the younger generation started to think that 50 was old. So they kind of moved. It's crazy. The Babylon system is rough. They kind of moved the goalpost and made it so you're old at 50. You used to be old at 80, 90, and 100. You used to be young, middle age, and old. Well, they got rid of middle age, and I was just young and old. So I went down to 50, 50s and early 60s, colorectal cancer. Of course, people still was getting it, 70s and 80s like that. But the numbers started being large in the 50s. And then one day, news break, and it hit 40. When Chadwick ended up with colon or colorectal cancer at 43. And when that happened, I said the number's going to keep lowering. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. And it's amazing because people just couldn't believe that was happening at such a young age of 43, that he had colon cancer. And what do you know? Nico McKnight, Brian McKnight's son, 32 years old, passed away from colorectal cancer, which takes, I would imagine, probably 5 years to do that. But we'll cut it down to 3. But that means he still got it in his 20s. In his 20s. And it ate him away, and he passed away just the other day. Rest in peace to him. And so I was talking to some people on the phone about that situation and said, this is a shame. I wish we could get people to eat better. Things are getting out of hand. And guess what? You're not going to believe this. Bam. Now they saying that colorectal cancer rates are skyrocketing in young adults. Skyrocketing. Skyrocketing. And it's like, I got 6 children. You know people don't listen. They probably eating whatever. You try to teach them, have them eating. As soon as they get grown, as soon as they start getting relationships, all that goes out the window. In some cases, you might have a special child that see the light and stays with the program, but mostly, no. If they're fortunate, they'll wake up and go plant-based. I say they're fortunate because what they eat won't make me sick. But I'm starting to think if what we eat could make them sick. And we're going to talk about that too. And so all of a sudden a report comes out that it's just spreading amongst young people. Now I feel like I am the most important person when we talk about the history of us eating and our health. And not because I'm big-headed or nothing like that. I just believe this is a fact. Because the whole thing started really going downhill with the children of the people from the Great Migration, which is me. It's the children of the people from the Great Migration that went down that dark course. And that's me, actually, for sure. And especially the children from the Great Migration in the bigger cities. New York, Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles. Because we're the ones that brought all of this processed food into existence. It wasn't our parents. Our parents dibbled and dabbled with it. But it was me for sure. It's my generation for sure. That's why that's probably why I was called to do this mission to get people to eat different, because I was really at the forefront. And I didn't know this. I only know this from talking, doing live streams, and telling the history. And I go, oh, whoa. Now, the reason I'm saying this is this. The people that came up during the Great Migration, when they came up, their food came up with them. Collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, sweet potatoes, cabbage. My mother was still eating rutabagas. They would eat stuff that their children wouldn't even eat. Right? This is how things got out of hand. This is real history. Send it to everybody. Now, because they were the people in the Great Migration and came up north, they were moving a little more advanced than the people still in the South. Not because the people in the South is slow, but you can only move as fast as your environment. So if your environment is still rural, then you got to live rural. And if your environment becomes metropolitan, you become metropolitan. And so when the children of the Great Migration, when we came up, okay, living was extremely good. Extremely. Like you wouldn't even believe it today. Like my father would work and get like a big check, like 700, 750 every 2 weeks, right? My mother's working. She's probably getting 6 or 7, right? So they're making around 3,000, anywhere from 2,700 to 3,000 a month between my mother and my father. The mortgage $200. Just let that sink in. Imagine a family. We can knock it down to 2,500. Imagine you're a family and you're getting $2,500 a month, and your mortgage is $200. Your phone bill's like $8, $7, $6. Your electric bill like $11. A Cadillac costs like $6,000. Basically, you could buy a Cadillac with 3 months working, and you could just buy it. You could just buy it and drive it 9 months. This is how cheap the cost of living was compared to how much money they was making. So they would do things like have a used car, your daddy's little used car, and if it's a smaller car, he'd keep it and he'd get a bigger car and he'd give it to you when you turn 16, and that'd be your car. So I was gifted a car at 15. They take you to DMV, you learn how to drive. You take you to DMV, you get your license on your birthday. That was like on your birthday for the children of the Great Migration, who parents came and did well, because some parents came and got on alcohol and got on drugs and didn't do well. But a lot of them did excellent. You got steel mills, you got jobs everywhere. And all of these children is what? Creating where you need more jobs, because there's a baby boom. So a baby boom, you need more candy stores, you need more candy, you need more cupcakes, you need more food, you need more food. And so the women are working. The women are working, the men are working. There's only a few women on every block that didn't work. So when you hear people say the man pay all the bills, the man never paid all the bills. On our block, every woman worked. The husband and the wife worked, except Mrs. Smith, but they had 5 children. I think Mrs. Johnson, and I don't think Mrs. Young worked. I don't think Mrs. Stokes worked. But what we talking? We talking what? 20 hours on both sides, 40 hours. All the women work and the men work. Now, what does this have to do with something? So now they're advanced. So now by the time I am 5th and 6th grade, I don't want to do old school stuff no more. My mama's cooking when the money's low, chicken and noodles. She's cooking stuff now, and the money is getting tighter, right? Because they started to tax them more, right? So they started to tax them more. So the money was still all right, But you know how the system is. They seen you had all this money. They start raising prices on a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. When I got my first apartment, it was like 250 for a 2-bedroom. After a year, it was like 275. You see, this is when they start inching it up to how it is today. So I'm saying all that to say, so I got my little car. We going, and well, I'm getting a little money, shooting dice, pitching pennies or whatever to get my little money, taking bottles back to the store. So now, because I'm the child of the Great Migration, I'm going up to McDonald's and give me something to eat straight from the park. So when I come in, my mother cooked. I don't want that. I don't want that. By the time I get in high school, we don't want none of that. We don't want nothing they was cooking from Alabama. We don't want that. We riding around, we getting our little money. We got our little allowance to go to school or whatever, as long as you do your chores. We want pizza. We want burgers. We want fries. We want steak sandwiches. We want shrimp baskets. The drive-through didn't exist. The only person that had a drive-through, the first drive-through was Jack in the Box. That's why it was called Jack in the Box, because the thing you used to talk in was a Jack in the Box. McDonald's didn't have a drive-through. Burger King, none of them had drive-through. Jack in the Box was the first one to bring the drive-through to Chicago. That's why it was called Jack in the Box, because that was a big deal to go and talk in this thing to order your food. Nobody had did that before. So I'm saying that to say that my generation now, we're eating the way we want to eat. And as time go, when we little, the only place you can eat at night is White Castles. But as time go, you get churches. You get this one, that one, that one. You get Wendy's. McDonald's and Burger King start making bigger and bigger and bigger sandwiches. They didn't have a Big Mac. They didn't have a Whopper. They just had burgers. But now as the baby boomers are growing up, this is what caused it. Now they got a whole new economy they got to feed. So when I'm in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, the candy's made out of whole ingredients, natural ingredients. But by the time I get fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, they have to start cutting it because there's too many children. So they got to start cutting the candy. They got to start cutting everything. They got to start mass producing, even the clothes. They got to start making polyester and cotton. They can't just make straight cotton. It's when polyester, all these synthetic materials start coming onto the scene. So now we got the world in our hands. Now, fortunate for me, I turned plant-based at 20 in 1978, but everybody else didn't. So now that generation becomes the parents. So their children is eating fast food because mommy and daddy been eating fast food since the 5th grade. So because mommy and daddy been eating fast food since the 5th grade, because you ate fast food or you ate fine dining. And fine dining was like Red Lobster, a steakhouse, or Red Lobster. But everybody's eating this quick food because guess what? You got to go to lunch. Nobody's taking no lunch to lunch. Everybody's going to get something for lunch. Nobody's bringing a lunch to work. That's not happening. That's only happening at like factories where they don't want to leave the premises. But other than that, everybody get off work. I work downtown and you go get lunch. And so that in comes the burger era, pizza, burger, and all that. The first time my father bought a pizza, we didn't know what it was. And from that point, pizza just took off. There were no pizza places everywhere like that. There were no burger places everywhere like that. There was a couple chicken shacks. But there were not all of this stuff you see now. So over the years now, the babies are born by fast food parents. And then because they want the fast food, they even start making the food at home fast food. So it's shake and bake chicken, it's some cheap stuff that you warm up and cook. Very few people cook from scratch anymore. It's like a prefabricated food. And so instead of seeing people living long periods of time, the lifespan starts to shorten and shorten and shorten. And the food gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And the amount of the food we eat gets worse and worse and worse. Worse. So now you start seeing obesity. You start seeing obesity. There was no overweight children. Okay? There were no overweight children like it is today. When I went to school, it might be a chubby, but not fat. It might be a chubby dude, maybe one or two. When I went to school, there was only one fat girl. That was it. Out of all the classes, she happened to be my grade, but the grades older than me and younger than me, she was the only one. She was the only one. I'm not going to say her name, but she was the only overweight girl. There was no such thing as overweight. Might be a little plump, but there was no fat people like that in the 60s and in the 70s like that. They start pushing Rerun and all them and try to find these chubby women to do the black TV shows. But that didn't exist. But people were living a long time. This is my great-grandma. This is my mother's mother. Look at the date. 117 years she lived. She lived 117 years. This is my grandmother, my great-grandmother on my mother's side, my mother's grandmother. I used to go to her house, so I actually knew her. See, 1993, and I was going down south all in the 60s and the 70s. So I used to be hanging out with her. Now, her son only lived in his 90s. I lost a whole 20 years. Her granddaughter, my mother only lived somewhere into her 70s. You see where I'm going with this? 117, 90 something, 70 something. This is really happened. The age groups really started to decrease. The life expectancy has been going down. Down, down, down. And so now people see me, I'm 67, they call me old. Back when I was little, I wouldn't have been considered old. They wouldn't have called me nothing until I got like in my 70s. And they would have called me old. But this would have just been a normal black man. Gray mustache and stuff wasn't considered old. It was regular. It's regular middle age. There's no more middle age. So every generation is eating worse and worse and worse. I got fortunate. I went plant-based. I remember when I went vegan, Wendy's opened up in Chicago. There was no Wendy's. And they had like a double, and then they had a triple. You know, McDonald's had 2 pieces of meat, but Wendy's went and had a triple. And so now you got this generation eating like that. Then they have children. So you got my mother and them down south eating straight off the land. They come up here. Now they're eating 3/4 off the land. 1/4 they buying food. Then you got me. I'm not even doing half and half. I'm doing 80% fast food and hardly no I'm not doing hardly no old school food. By the time I get in high school, I ain't eating nothing my mama cooking. I'm not even coming home. I'm in my car driving around. I'm not eating none of that. She just stopped cooking. I ain't gonna eat it. My sister, now, you know, we seniors and juniors, you gotta cook what you want yourself. She'll just fix her a little something to eat. You know, we don't want it. She'd make something for me, her and my daddy, and eat it and leave something for my daddy, come eat it, but they're from Alabama. Me and my sister, we not from Alabama. We don't want no Alabama food. We don't want no vegetables. I didn't want no vegetables. That's why it was everybody got a big kick when they found out I was vegan, because I was the worst one. I was the worst eater in my family. And so each generation has been eating worse and worse and worse. Each generation of manufacturers have been manufacturing the food worse and worse and worse. And now we see the results. The results are that people are getting sick younger. Colorectal cancer rates are skyrocketing in young adults. Is your lifestyle putting you at risk? In the United States, colorectal cancer is the 3rd most diagnosed cancer and the 3rd leading cause of cancer death in both men and women. The American Cancer Society estimates that in 2025 alone, there will be 140,000 new cases of colorectal cancer diagnosed in the U.S. Colorectal cancer develops in the soft tissue of a patient's digestive system, often in the lining of the colon or rectum. The devastating reach of colorectal cancer is global, with recent studies revealing that 1 in 24 men and 1 in 26 women worldwide will develop colorectal cancer during their lifetime. The recent ACS report cast a spotlight on an emerging and highly concerning fact: 1 in 5 people concerning facts. Let me read that over. The recent ACS report casts a spotlight on an emerging and highly concerning fact. 1 in 5 people diagnosed with CRC are now under the age of 50. Even younger, generally healthy adults are being affected. Since the mid-1990s, there has been a consistent annual increase of 2% in cases among adults aged 20 to 39. Experts believe a sedentary lifestyle, lack of exercise, and increased consumption of processed food and red meat are all at play behind the rise of colorectal cancer. There are several things to keep in mind when considering your risk of developing colorectal cancer. Some risk factors, like lifestyle related factors, are within your control. There are also genetic and hereditary factors that are beyond a person's control. The most important question to ask yourself is, are the most important question to ask yourself are, what are my risk factors? Do I understand them? Am I informed enough to make a proactive choice that could mitigate my risk of colorectal cancer? Now, check this out. See what it says? Since the mid 1990s, there has been a consistent annual increase of 2% in cases among adults aged 20 to 39. Now, didn't I just tell y'all that my generation started eating crazy in the 70s? So that means that my generation within 20 years started to develop these problems, right? So you eating bad in the 70s and the 80s, and then in the 90s, boom, it hits you. Because in the 70s, you're in your teens. In the 80s, you're in your 20s. In the 90s, you're in your 30s. And you see things going downhill. And the older people that started to switch over, they got the worst end of it. Because after so long, everybody started eating. Everybody started eating the wrong way. Everybody. Now look what it says. There are also genetic and hereditary factors that are beyond a person's control. Now I want to deal with that, and we're going to get back to this. Now, one thing I tripped out on is this. They keep saying hereditary, hereditary, hereditary. And I was like, hereditary. And I always told my subscribers, hereditary, you are eating the bad food. So I was like, well, you're not inheriting these problems from your relatives. You're inheriting the bad eating habits. But as of yesterday, when I had to report that Nico McKnight had passed away from colon cancer at 32, I started to think that maybe hereditary also has something to do with it, now that I think about it. So this is a new philosophy I'm putting out here, and y'all tell me what you think. If I eat bad, me and my wife, and we're slowly damaging our colon, when we make love and she gets pregnant, is that egg and that sperm going to carry that lower amount of strength? Meaning, me and her are a little weaker from eating trash. Is her egg and my sperm a little weaker? Is my children's colon going to be as strong as my daddy's? This is interesting. I never thought about that. 'Cause when they say hereditary, I couldn't really understand what they've been saying all this time. But now that I'm thinking about it, the question I got, is it possible that if I eat junk and it starts to damage my colon, even if I don't know it's damaged, if I have a son or a daughter, is it possible that when their colon develops, it won't develop that strong because it's coming from a DNA that is already damaged their colon? In other words, are we making it easier for our children to get sick easier? Are we destroying their immune system when we destroy ours? Because if you got a strong immune system and you have sex and have a child, you could pass that strong immune system. But what happens if you've been destroying your body and you have a child? I never thought about that until they started saying, until I seen this young man had colorectal cancer at 30, and I had to start thinking about it. Because what's making it happen earlier? What's making it happen early? How can somebody eat the same food for 40 years and you eat it for 20 years and then get rid of you? Because you're weaker. Now, I'm not sure, but it seems to be a possibility that we're going to have a lot of sick people. They're never going to be born strong. And if they continue to eat what you was eating, they won't reverse. So let's say I'm at 100, my DNA and everything. Boom, I get in around high school, I start eating junk food. By the time I meet a woman and have a relationship and get a woman pregnant, I'm in my 20s. But now I'm not at 100, I'm like about 70. Give me 80, I'm at 80, I'm not at 100. She's at 80, I'm at 80 because of our environment. Can our baby be at 100, or will our baby's 100 be a less of a 100 than ours? Can I have a baby that would be strong like I was, or will I have a baby weakened like I've been weakened from eating this stuff? This is really something to think about. Because if that's the case, we're headed for a catastrophe with all these people eating all this trash, all these overweight people. Because look at all the children getting diabetes, born with diabetes, little babies getting diabetes, little kindergarten, first grade, second, diabetics. This stuff is really hereditary, but I didn't really think about it in them terms. Hereditary in the sense that you've already destroyed so much of your body. So now with your egg and that sperm, it's going to be weaker. How are you going to have strong eggs and strong sperm on artificial flavors, artificial color preservatives? You're only going to make eggs and make sperm from whatever you consuming. So if you consuming trash, what kind of sperm you going to make? So that makes this right here very alarming. For him to be gone at 32. It's really interesting, you all. Now, when was this article written? Because this is going to spook me out if this article is a recent article. See, this article is written this month. March. It's just May. So this article was just written. This is spooky. This is spooky. This article was written before the 32-year-old got colon cancer. I'm telling you all, we better turn it around. We're going to have to, if we're down at 60, we're going to have to eat better to get up to 70 so that our children go up to 70 and feed them so they can get up to 80 and they stay up to 80 and then they have babies can get up to 90. It's a possibility. That's what we're dealing with. I can't say for sure, but it's starting to make sense. Because why is the decline happening so fast? It's happening extremely fast. This was the first time everybody noticed it was happening fast. Because they're like, well, dang, he only 43. How has he passed away at only 43 from colon cancer? Everybody was tripping. It changed the whole medical field. Everybody, they want to check all the men for their prostate. They never used to check your prostate till you was in your 60s. Now they want to check your prostate in your 30s, your 40s. Look, this is a warning. If you're smart, and send this to everybody. Because this article says colorectal cancer rates rising in young adults, but it's not being clear on how young. How young? How young? Many Black Americans are turning to veganism to improve their health and address issues like high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity, which disproportionately affect the community. Ethics. A growing number of Black Americans are becoming vegan out of the ethical concerns about animal rights and the environmental impact of meat production. So people are starting to change. The brother here say, a death in my family happened, colon cancer. I reached out to him to get him on a natural vegan lifestyle, but he didn't want help. Arctic, I tell you, brother, you know, wow, he say, 20-year-olds that got it. See what I'm saying, bro? That's Arctic. Now, come on. Think about that. What's really going on? How they eating the same thing everybody else eating, but they getting it faster. It's something to that. It's something to that. How is it speeding up that fast? The food ain't changed that much. It have, but I mean, I don't think that much. You say the last time you got checkup, the doctor told me everything is fine, but they wanted to check my colon at 40, and I'm 37 now. You know, Ross, they don't have to stick their finger in you and all that no more. You can go right now. They'll give you a blood test. When they give you the blood test, a certain thing they see in your blood make them think you might got it. Because a nurse wanted to do me on my, what birthday that was? My 62nd birthday 5 years ago. On my 62nd birthday, I wanted to go because I'm born 2/22, and it was 2/22/2020, and I was 62. So it was 6/2s. I was 62, and it was 6/2s involved with my birthday. So I did the numerology. I said, let me go to the doctor because I never go to the doctor. I only went to the doctor when I got stabbed, and the ambulance took me. I didn't go. So I never go to the doctor. I'll go to the doctor. I went to the doctor, like I think I fractured my finger, something like that. But I don't never go to the doctor. So I decided to go to the doctor. And they gave me all my tests. Everything came back great. But the lady said to me, the nurse said, I need to check your colon. And I gave her that look. She said, no, Mr. Elaton, we don't do it like that no more. So I looked at her like, lady, you're not sticking your finger up at me. I'm sorry. She said, no, we don't do it like that. Take your blood. So she took my blood. She said everything was fine. So you can get a blood test that will show it's something going to be in your blood if you're having problems. You don't have to, they don't have to do it the old fashioned way. You say your cousin, 32 years old, type 2 diabetes, been having bird blizzard for the last few weeks. Uh, the NC nurse, NC nurse, I'm telling you, bro, I don't know what to tell y'all. So he's saying the standard American diet has been intensified the last 24 years with very little to no natural plant-based consumption at all. Probably so. I would not have no clue since I don't eat it. You know what, though? You know what? You're right. You know why? Because the food we get is worse. The food we get is worse. In other words, when my father went and got shrimps and fries, it was a better form of shrimps and fries than now. Like I've looked at some of these shrimps and I'm like, what is that? It's not that you can't get the old school shrimps no more. Because I be seeing people when they eat their food, and it's nothing like, you are 100% right. It's nothing like how it used to be. You can just look at it and tell. Hey, for example, I hadn't ate no sweets, no nothing. I hadn't ate no Hostess or nothing in years. And I had got stabbed up and I was at my parents' house. I was trying to recuperate. And I was weak. I had to go learn how to walk. And my daddy came in and he said some little Debbie's and all this stuff up on the counter. And he said something else up there. And I was so hungry. It ain't no meat. I went, I said, let me eat one of these Hostess or whatever. That thing was so nasty. Couldn't even eat it. It didn't taste like, I said, this is what they making it. I was like, what? I'm thinking it's the same one I used to eat back, 20 years ago, whatever, at that time. That was years ago. Man, that thing was so nasty. I said, this is how they changed it. So I know that's right because I tasted something that I ate when I was young before I went vegan, and it wasn't. No, I had to spit it out. I was like, what the hell is this? Is what they selling them? It was horrible. I couldn't eat it if I wanted to. He said a lot of the insurance won't cover the colon test until a certain age, so a lot of young people aren't even eligible. Wow. That's unbelievably crazy. Wow. This is scary. This is scary if a lot of 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 20-year-olds start getting colon cancer like that. Diabetes. They're getting diabetes already. It's like it's up to us to try to turn it around to see if we can save some people. But they don't want to listen. I got 6 children. They don't know. People just don't believe it. They don't believe it. They think you just own something strange. You know what I'm saying? They think that you like are doing something that's anti-sociable, which it kind of is. So they look at you like, oh, I can't live a regular life if I eat like that, Dad. This is how they look at it. But I try to tell them, if you change the way you eat, then the regular life will turn that way. But if you keep eating that, yeah, regular life's going to stay over there. We got to create a new regular life. Nobody hardly goes to the movies no more. But if they did, I would open a movie theater with all natural drinks and all natural snacks. This is 100% chocolate and cane sugar. This is, you know what I'm saying? Because if you ever been to a movie theater, there's nothing. It's all trash. The worst food in America is at the movie theater. It's the worst. It's the worst popcorn in the world. It's the worst everything. When I go, I got to sneak something in. You know it's bad when you can't find like one thing. Y'all don't have one thing that's natural. Y'all don't have no one natural drink. And you want to charge me. I went with 3 people. They charged me $7 for a bottle of water. My daughter was with me, so I just bought it. Because if it was me and I just had to have something, I would have went and got a refund. Give my money back. I'm not paying no $7 for no. That should be illegal. You know, they be breaking the law. That's price gouging. That's price gouging. $7 for a little bitty water. So y'all look, try to help your people. Don't give up on them, but make sure you help yourself, because here's the problem. I was just talking to somebody about this. Everything is toxic. The air is toxic. Our dishes is all toxic. So what I tell a lot of people is not just the fact that you want to eat healthy food just because it's healthy. It's also reparative. And so you need to be consuming these vegetables and these fruits and these herbs and spices that also have a reparative and cleansing, because we're constantly getting poisoned anyway. So it's not like you're going plant-based to avoid poison. You can't. But you're avoiding the poison that you can avoid. And by putting stuff that's not in poison, you are fighting against the poison you can't see. So eating healthy builds you up from the healthy food, but it also fights against all this plastic that's floating around, all this toxic dust everywhere. You have to eat something to fight that too. So you're eating to get good nutrition, but you're also eating to fight all type of stuff. All type of stuff is that out here. It's no telling what we're breathing right now. That we got to eat. When we eat some garlic and some onion and stuff, they go in there and clean out stuff. We don't even know it's cleaning. You don't even know you're that dirty. You don't even know you're that dirty. And the meat is just like one of 100 things. The meat is just the catalyst to get you to change. Because the artificial flavors, artificial color, preservatives, all that, it's worse. You put the wrong thing in your colon, you're going to get colon cancer. But you're drinking all this artificial flavor stuff, you're going to get cancer. You know, you're going to get just cancer. Because look, you got lung cancer, you got cancer of the esophagus, you got how many cancers? You know what I'm saying? In this toxic society. So eating right helps fight against things we cannot see. We cannot see how much poison is out here. But parents, force make sure you feed your children the best. So if they grow up and they hard headed, at least you built them up with enough armor that maybe they'll get out there in the world and see and convert on their own. But don't let them dictate. I never let my children dictate what to eat. I feed them what I want to feed them, the best food I can while they little, before they get too big to do it. Because they get too big to monitor them. By the time they get in 7th, 8th grade high school, you can't monitor them no more. So when they babies, newborns, make sure they got 100% juice. 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old. The 4-year-old baby, he don't care what kind of juice it is, as long as it's sweet, it's juice. So get him 100% juice. Get her 100% juice. Make sure you got a lot of grapes and all that around. So when they do get older, and they are going to get older and get influence, they'll have enough armor to hopefully when they change, they come back. I was talking to a friend, it's like, it's how you raise. I'm like, no, it's not how you raise. It's your surroundings once you leave your environment. We're raised by the streets. And when people, I mean the streets, I don't mean the bad part of the streets, the streets. The streets affect you. Your friends you hang out with. You get raised, y'all raise each other, like for real. You are influenced by that. It's not a bad thing, it's just how it works. Your friends, I tell you this, if you go to school and you got a good friend in school, I bet you tighter with your friend in school than you are with any of your cousins. When I used to go outside and be playing in the neighborhood, and my mom said, well, come back early because your cousin coming over. I didn't want to come back and hang out with my cousins because my friends I was tighter than them. My cousin, I see my friends on the block every day. I see my friends at the park every day. I see my friends at school every day. I don't see my cousin every day. So we're not close like my friends. My friends are closer to me than my relatives. The only way a relative could be that close is if they live with me. When you live in a black neighborhood, you basically live with your friends. You at school all day with them. Every day, think about it. You only at home all day with your parents on Saturday and Sunday. You were at school all day with your friends Monday through Friday. That's a lot of time to spend with somebody. You know, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade. If you go from kindergarten to sixth grade and got some of the same people in your class, y'all like this, y'all like this. I just wanted to drop this on you all because I'm not sure what's going on. And I don't believe the system is telling us. So I'm at one of them points where you're actually watching me trying to figure something out. We're gonna address this again. Because I definitely remember, I surely remember I had this vibe when he passed away. When he passed away, I had the same vibe I got today. I'm like, wait a minute, 43? 43? Are you kidding me? 43? So I wasn't feeling that. I felt like something's wrong. Ain't no way this man got no colon cancer at no 43 years old. Something that they wouldn't even check for till 70. Real talk. So look, y'all. He better. Because this brother was nothing but 32 years old. He better and fight to stay alive. That's the new slogan. Fight to stay alive. Every day. Your number one goal got to be to stay alive. You got to think about it like that. Every day. The young black man, young black woman, young white, Hispanic, and everybody. Think about staying alive. It's something you really have to concentrate on. You can't just live in this world. It would be nice if you could just get up and live. But in this world, you actually have to concentrate on staying alive. Seriously. Blank just like that, like staying alive. Because that leaves everything open because you got to be looking for carjackers. You got to be driving defensively. Somebody would just, you'd be sitting at a light. I had a friend sitting at a light and somebody just hit her from the back. She lived in another state. Just hit her from the back. And she was lucky that they didn't, that she didn't get really hurt. So you're not going to just stay alive. We have to actually concentrate on that. That's why when you see them jaguars or them lions or them tigers, that's why they be walking like that. Because they know they got to stay alive. They mess around, step on the wrong snake or step on the wrong thing, they out of here. So, y'all, we got to try to stay alive because we just surrounded with poison. We surrounded with crime. We surrounded with diseases. We surrounded with natural disasters, right? Thievery, vandalism, people trying to hurt you. You don't even know them. They'll just hurt a stranger for no reason. So, I mean, you really gotta try to stay alive. I always think I need to stay alive. That way you'd be like, okay, I'm getting a little chubby. Let me go get this off of me. Anything wrong, you're going to go work to fix it. You're going to go work to fix it and keep that colon clean. At least once a year, drink a quart of prune juice. Just get it. And you got to do it Friday. You get off work Friday. Make sure you got 2 days off. It could be any day. If you work Monday and you off Tuesday and Wednesday, when you get off Monday, get your quart of prune juice and just sip it and clean that whole body out so nothing can't lay in there and make you sick. That's why I don't like belly fat. Because I be thinking there's something in here. You know what I'm saying? It can't be nothing good. Think about it. You got belly fat. What is that in there? What's in there? I be spooked. I be thinking there's something in there that could make me sick. So I be wanting to get away with it. I want to get it away from me. I can't trust it because what's in there? It looked like a house for cancer or diabetes or a stroke or something. It looked like that's what stuff like that live at. Why you got this extra on your body? You didn't have that when you was a baby. We got to really, really be careful. Really. Because it ain't looking so good. I ain't trying to scare nobody. But it's really not. We can't even keep up with exactly. We can't even keep up. We can't even keep up with what's going on. We can't keep up with the sicknesses, the toxic waste, and that. People still ain't got water in Flint. I couldn't believe it. Man. Heck yeah, you got to get rid of it. The only thing gonna make it not be bad is if you're constantly getting rid of it. If instead of it getting bigger, If it's going the other way, you're doing good. But if you're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and you ain't exercising, you ain't trying to get it out, it ain't no good. We really got to work to stay alive. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, anytime people start having colon cancer at 40 and 30, man, listen, that'll spook anybody out. What is going on? What's going on? How you got colon cancer in your 20 and you 20? That ain't making no sense. That used to be an old man sickness or an old woman. How you got it at 20? So look, y'all, eat right. We'll be back for more information over here. If you see anything health-wise, make sure you DM it to me, okay, on Instagram. Make sure you DM it so I know what's going on, because I got to keep up with what's going on out here. You know what I'm saying? So just look up Vegan Intel Shy and DM me anything you see, or you could send it to me on Facebook. I'm gonna start trying to see what's going on Facebook. I don't know what's going on Facebook because I never went and got Facebook Messenger. So I don't know how many messages I got. They made it too difficult. Man, just let me push something and see my messages. Why I gotta have all this? But y'all take care of yourself. Eat right and take care of yourself. Because it's like we in a war that we ain't even signed up for. Real talk. And make sure you join the Patreon. Vegan Intel on Patreon, where there's information I can't post on here on YouTube. All right? Victory.